Hello creative people, welcome back to the channel. This is Everly Green. I am a Spanish illustrator and today I'm bringing you a tutorial on how to draw a cute tuxedo cat. For this illustration I'll be using the default square canvas in Procreate and this cute reference of a kitten. I'm going to start by drawing the head. I always begin by drawing a circle and then I'll add a vertical line and a horizontal line to determine where the nose will be positioned. Since our cat will be looking up, the nose will be placed slightly higher on the vertical line. Once I have established the nose position, I'll draw the cat's eyes. Then I'll add the mouth by drawing 3 small semicircles. I'll mark the placement of the ears by drawing 2 small triangles. And now I'll draw a semi-ellipse for the cat's body. Then I'll connect the face and the body by drawing 2 smooth lines for the neck. And to add a touch of personality, I'll give the cat a cute little collar. Since this is a tuxedo cat, I'll now mark where the white fur will be. In this case, the white markings will be around the mouth, between the eyes extending up to the head, and down the neck to the stomach. And I always give my cats a cute little fringe, a touch of blush, and some whiskers. Because this is like a cat portrait, I'll draw an ellipse to frame the kitten. I'll also add some simple flowers like daisies and leaves peeking out from behind the frame. And we cannot forget about the tail. To draw the tail, I'll draw 2 very loose inverted S shapes and join them at the tip. Then I'll draw 3 small semicircles to indicate where the white tip of the tail will be. And now that the loose sketch is complete, I'll go to the Layers panel, tap on the sketch layer and lower its opacity. Then I'll create a new layer on top and begin drawing the final sketch with more refined lines. Now it's time to choose a color palette. Since tuxedo cats are black and white, those will be my primary colors in our illustration. And I really like the way pink complements black and white, so I'm going to use the split complementary method to choose colors that will harmonize with it, such as green and blue. If you'd like to learn more about the split complementary method and 3 other ways to choose and combine colors effectively, I recommend watching my latest YouTube video. I'll leave the link in the description box below. And now that both the palette and the sketch are ready, it's time to start coloring. I'm going to get rid of our initial loose sketch layer, and then I'll set our refined sketch layer to multiply and lower its opacity so I can easily see what I am doing while I color. The first thing I'm going to do is to color the background. I'll choose this nice blue for it, and I'll start by drawing a large oval to represent the background. Then I'll fill it in with the blue. To create a subtle gradient effect in the background, I'll create a new layer and clip it to the background layer. I'll set this layer to multiply and use the same blue color to darken a portion of the background. Next, I'll create a layer above the background layer, and using white, I'll carefully fill in the shape of the cat. Now that we have the white shape of the cat, I'll use the select tool set to freehand to select the areas that will be black. Once the areas are selected, I'll tap on duplicate, and this will create a new layer with the selected areas. And on this new layer, I'll fill the selected areas with a nice grey color. The reason I'm using grey instead of black now is that I'll use multiplied layers later on to create a more realistic effect, and these layers will darken the grey color, making it look black. Next, I'll create a new layer and use black to draw the nose, mouth and eyes. For the mouth, cheeks and ears, I'll create a new layer just below the eyes layer. I'll fill these areas with a pink color and then slightly lower the layer's opacity. Above all these layers, I'll create a new layer for the flowers. I'll use the pink and white for the daisies, and then on a new layer above the daisies, I'll use pink and yellow for the center of the flowers. Finally, on a new layer below the daisies, I'll use a green for the stems and the leaves. Above all these layers, I'll create a new layer, and using the same pink color as the daisies, I'll draw two little hearts. cat's collar will be placed on a new layer above the cat's fur and below the flowers. I'll use the lightest shade of pink for the color, and then I'll add some subtle details using yellow on a new layer. And there we have it, our basic colors are complete. Now you might notice that the layers do not appear perfectly aligned with the oval background, but don't worry, we'll address that later on. For now, let's focus on adding some detail to our colors, and I'll start by the cat's fur. First, I'll create a new layer and clip it to the black fur layer. Using white, I'll carefully trace the sketch lines on the black fur to define the fur's texture. Next, I'll create another new layer and clip it to the white fur layer. Using black, I'll repeat the process, tracing the sketch lines to define the texture of the white fur. Then, I'll create a new layer and clip it to the black fur layer. I'll set it to multiply and I'll use the same grey color I used for the base fur. With the brush opacity set to medium, I'll carefully trace the areas where the shadows should fall. And then I'll create another new layer, clip it to the black fur layer again, and set it to multiply. With the brush opacity set to low this time, I'll trace the areas where the lightest shades of the cat's fur should be. And I'll repeat the same process for the white fur. I create two new layers, both clipped to the white fur layer, and set them to multiply. On these layers I'll use the lightest shade of grey to add subtle shadows to the white fur. I'll apply the same process to the color. I create new layers, clip them, and use multiply and screen modes to add some depth to it. For the flowers, I'll use the same pink shade as the base color. I'll use the select tool to select the pink flowers, and this will allow me to work on the pink flowers alone without affecting the white ones. Then I'll create a new layer above the select flowers and set it to multiply, and I'll carefully shade the center of the flowers. Then, with the pink flowers still selected, I'll create a new layer, set it to multiply, and draw lines across the petals. Next, I'll focus on the leaves. I'll select the green color used for the base of the leaves, create a new layer above them, clip it to the leaves layer, and set it to multiply. Using a brush with low opacity, I'll gently shade the leaves and the stems to create depth. And on another layer, also clipped and set to multiply, I'll add some fine details to the leaves. I am also going to add the finishing touches to the cat's fur on another layer, using white and black to draw a few loose strands of hair to give the cat's fur some extra texture and dimension. And you can leave it here if you want. Our illustration looks quite good already, but I like to add some extra depth to the illustration, and for that I'll just create new layers, clip them to the appropriate layers like the fur or the leaves, and set them either to screen or multiply, and using my denim brush I'll gently add subtle texture and variation to the illustration. I am also going to add a nice paper texture to it, and if you don't know how to do that, I'll leave my video tutorial on how to do it in the description box below. And now that we have finished adding color and detail, we need to ensure that all the elements are within the oval background. To do this, I'll merge down all the clip layers to their respective base layers. This will simplify the layer structure. You should now have the same number of layers as you had before you started adding color. Finally, I'll select all the remaining layers and clip them to the oval background layer. However, the hearts layer will not be clipped down, as I want it to be outside the illustration to make it more dynamic. And to make the illustration more interesting, I also want some elements to extend beyond the oval background. Specifically, I want the tail and some of the greenery to peek out. To achieve this, I'll select the fur layer, and then using the select tool set to freehand, I'll carefully select the portion of the tail that should extend beyond the oval. Once selected, I'll tap on duplicate to create a new layer containing only the selected portion of the tail, and then I'll move this new layer above all the other layers and unclip it from the oval background layer. And I'll repeat the same process on the leaves layer. And there we have it, our cute tuxedo cat portrait is complete. If you found this tutorial useful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss any future artsy videos. And please let me know in the comments what other things you'd like to see me draw in a future tutorial. You can also follow my journey as an illustrator on Instagram @TheVillyGreenArt, where I post all my work. Thank you so much for watching, have a lovely day and see you in the next video. Bye!